we're not going to really go over flat, we're not doing any examples of flat textile storage or packing. The best way for flat textile to be packed is through on a roll, unless there's some sort of extra embellishment, then there's tricky ways that you can go about packing those on a roll, or even keeping them on a mount, or storing them flat. But today we're going to concentrate on costume, and there are two ways of storing costume. One is flat, and the second is hanging. If a costume is stable enough, there are polyethylene plastic hangers that are available through archival vendors that you can get, and you can, unless you have resources to, like a science lab that can do testing of materials for you, you can have the costume in direct contact with the hangers. Otherwise, you would always have some sort of stockinette or batting barrier layer between your costume and the hanger.
Can you just use muslin or cotton?
You can.
Wrapped around something to add the...
Yes. For the new, if you're purchasing or investing in the new plastic hangers, you kind of want to stay away from these type of plastic hangers. They do kind of release plasticizer over time. They yellow, they get brittle.
Oh, I meant on the other, the poly.
Yeah. If you do, most of us don't have access to a science lab that can do testing on it to see how, I guess, like for example, some batches will pass their archival tests, some won't. So, but to be safe, it would be good to put some muslin or stockinette barrier over it. And you also, whenever you're working with muslin or stockinette, it's always good to wash it first before you use it. So for flat textiles, you have your blue board box or archival box. You always want to line it with a piece of tissue, at least one layer of tissue. So even though the box itself is archival, we always want a layer of tissue in here. You definitely want the sides covered. If you have enough tissue, you can also have a leaf of tissue coming this way too. So our ideal situation would to be have one costume per textile box, but in most situations you're going to have to put multiple costumes in one box. In that case, when you pick and choose your costumes, you want them to identify with one another. So, like we wouldn't put the Castro collection with the Resurrection Boulevard collection, and you want it maybe even with the Resurrection Boulevard collection. We'll do one for all the shorts, one for all the shirts. If you're putting multiple textiles in one box, you always want to put the heavier ones on the bottom. And try to space it out so that your weight is even. So, for example, the shorts, we could put one on each end. If something's long, then you want to either center it or offset it with something on the other side that's layered on top or below it. So who would like to start? You want to start with these lovely gold shorts? When handling your textile, if you have to move, make sure you have a place to put it. But you don't want to carry it. Costume is very tricky because we wear clothes every single day, and we have a way that we're handling our clothes all the time that can't really be transferred to in our object. So even though we want to just grab it with one hand, we have to make sure that the entire thing is stable. So in the case of the shorts, the most stable part of it is the waistband, or the strongest part. So we can lift it by that part and then carry the rest with the other hand. We call this the fainting lady. It's more romantic when it's a long lady's dress. And then instead of plopping it down, we start with one end and then we bring our arm out. So if you guys want to come stand closer to the box. If something like this is in really good condition, then we can be okay with just leaving it in like that. If there's something that's made out of a material that can crease or wrinkle really easily, then you want to get some tissue to fill out those areas. So let's say we want to fill in these creased areas here. We can make crumpled up pieces of tissue. And this sticks pretty well. And you put it in the areas where you don't want it to create a crease. Now these are a little bit more full, so our box would have to be significantly larger to fill out the whole thing. But since this is in such good condition, it's not really necessary to put these tissues in. So with a dress that does get wrinkled really easily, it's very easy to fill it out so it looks like there's an actual person inside, and it would take up the whole box. So we want to maximize the space in this box, so we won't be filling out too much.
I had a question about the fringe elements. Should they be laid down carefully, or does it really matter how they're laid out?
With fringe and with embellishments, we do want it to be secure on the other side, so we just want to make sure that nothing is folded up. So that's why when you set it down and you put one end down and you're laying your hand out, you're kind of decreasing the amount of chances of the fringe flying the other direction. So all the fringe should be in the same direction.
I have a question. If something comes with like a cotton batting that's stuffing, say, a sleeve or something, would you replace that with tissue?
Yes. If we don't know what the
Where it
material
is,
is,
yeah.
it's best to replace everything. If it's coming from another archive and if it's tissue and the tissue is white and crisp, and then you can make that judgment. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of times when you find the tissue is torn, it's yellowed, or
Not a
especially
problem,
materials or fabrics, we don't know what the longevity of it is, so it's best to just replace everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to put this one in next? I guess, yeah.
There's a B on the inside, on that side, so I was considering this to be the front and the other side to be the back.
Yeah. And so that's another thing. If we typically want to put the back face down, if there's some sort of like giant bow or some sort of embellishment that can get crushed, then you can turn it around and fill that out. So it just depends on the piece, but typically you want the back down, the front up. So let's put the other pair of shorts. So again, this is the back. You can make that judgment based on your collection if the name is really important to you. And if you want to put that on face up, then it's up to you or your collections manager or archives manager or curator to make
But
that
otherwise,
decision.
just like backside down, just
Mhm.
like you're laying on your back.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so we have two pieces here. These tend to slide, so what we want to do is create some sort of barrier here. You take more tissue. Although that doesn't seem like a lot, it helps. Okay. we can pick 2 more pairs of shorts. Between objects, we always want to put tissue as well. And you'll see textile packing takes a lot of tissue. Do you want to put your shorts? Yeah.
Sorry.
Does that bag have anything inside?
It has a mouth guard.
Okay.
I don't know if you would put that in there.
And then will we put the waistband in the middle, or will we do
Let's
it the
put
other
the
way?
waistband, yeah, the other way. Do you know which one's the front and back?
Otherwise, it's in the front box. right?
Okay.
I think.
Okay. So then we'll grab another pair of shorts here. Kind of make this our shorts box. Is there any more? Did anybody else have shorts? Okay, so we need some more tissue to make a you want it with it. Does anybody want to practice crumpling some tissue for some?
Will the sides go under?
We'll put it in between so it doesn't slide. Put our other layer in there. So then, whoever wants to continue with this box will just keep putting shorts inside. So, although we don't have accession numbers on it, we would like to label what's inside the box. So, we want to keep track of how many pairs of shorts we're putting in there, and then we'll put a label designating that right now there's 4 pairs of shorts, but in the end, we'll put how many are actually in there. So does everybody want to make some room on your tables? You can just temporarily put your objects. Yes, everybody will start with 2 sheets so far, and then we'll give an example of the graphic.
That was ugly.
More tissue? We've got 4 to 5 now. Or do we have 4 pieces?
I think so.
2, okay, 3, yeah. So let's start on these 2 boxes. So if everybody wants to grab 2 pieces for the bottom of their boxes.
ahead and do it this way. Let's do it this way, just against the side of the box. I guess the rest of the table.
The frame? Right?
I was just gonna do the longest side down, the longest end of the box.
But the final top layer, you want to be able to bring the tissue over to cover.
Is it okay?
For now, yes.
We can fill it in later.
So do you not put any, insert anything in the sleeves?
We're gonna do some examples. We'll put 2 jackets in here with the inserts in. So you're gonna have a lot of times where your object isn't actually gonna fit directly into the box if it's not a custom box. So
Should you
The-
button the buttons up or?
it's not, especially in a situation like this where it's too wide, you're gonna want to have it overlapped. And then
What
if it's buttoned,
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, go ahead.
oh, if it's buttoned, then you get some ripples that
Sure.
that you would have to fill out unnecessarily if you just left the
Right.
parts
Same thing
unbuttoned.
with like zippers.
Zippers, hook eyes are a little bit different because they're able to snag onto different parts of the fabric.
Right.
So zippers you want to zip up. Hook eyes you definitely want to keep close to the other hook eyes. If there's a dress that has 50 hook eyes,
Right.
you don't have to have all of them closed. It's always best to have
Sure.
just a couple of them closed. You just don't want them somewhere else on the dress where it can snag and rip the dress.
And what if it's a suit jacket? Then do you wanna button it, or do you wanna do this
You
overlapping?
can, if it fits in the box, you can have it buttoned. If it doesn't fit in the box, then it's good to unbutton it.
And still take the sleeves and sort of rest them on top?
Yes. So all of this just depends on your individual object, what the fabric is made from, what sorts of embellishments are on it. We'll get to a point where, like, that jacket has all those studs on it, so maybe you don't want the arms folded onto it. And in that case, you would interweave even between the actual object. So for this, let's say this has some sort of embellishment and we don't want to lay it on top of each other. We would get a little piece of tissue. And we put it wherever it's in contact with each other. So that these aren't touching the underlayer. And then you can make your snakes. And pulling your snakes through your arms can be tricky. This is probably too small for this arm, but you want to always insert it through the inside. Here's another note. Take off your jewelry. Take off watches, take off rings, unless your gloves are, if you have gloves on. Any lanyards or tags you want off as well. So you just run the tissue through the sleeve.
So if you have an entire suit, you're saying it's best to keep the entire costume together. So you put your jacket in there, and then you put the pants in there. You fold the pants, you lay them out long.
It depends. You want, every single time, your ideal situation with packing is to have everything as flat as possible. Well, as spread out as possible.
So if you do have to fold the pants, then you would make one of your snakes and probably put it, at the place, so it would just be like that instead of just.
Yes, so like in case, let's say this didn't fit in the box, you always want to fold because a lot of things are always happening at the top, buttons, waistband's always thicker. You always want to fold from the bottom, and you would put this snake and then fold over, so you don't have any creasing or wrinkling from there.
And then if you have ties and vests, you try to put all that, and suspenders, you try and put it all in the same box, eh?
Yes, so every time you have a multi-component
Yeah.
costume, you want everything together.
So if you have suspenders and a tie, you're gonna put that in, maybe in some sort of acid-free envelope or something, so it doesn't get lost?
You can actually just, like, let's say the suspenders, just wrap it in the tissue and then set it on
Right on
top
top.
of the suit. Just make sure in your label you have all the components present, so people know when they're, you know, unpacking all the tissue that they're not throwing out a tie, which may not weigh very much. So let's do one more sleeve. So again, when you start filling out your sleeves and your folded areas, it starts building up. So you start losing space. So for these objects, this harder tissue is okay. When you start getting into fragile objects, such as things made from silk, things with sequins, then there's a separate type of tissue, Green's lens tissue, which is very soft. And if you notice, even when you crumple this up, there's kind of like sharp edges. I mean, not that sharp, but if you have a really fragile 100-year-old silk tool, something that like that can catch on it. So there is softer tissue for things like that.
Would you ever want to be conscious of the metal, like of snaps or something being corrosive?
Yes. So that's going to depend on what other types of materials are with your object. For example, wools. Like you wouldn't want to put newly woven, wool sweaters with something that is highly corrosive, some sort of metal elements with it. If it's within the same object, there's really nothing. I mean, the object is what it is, and we call it inherent vice, where what's happening to the object is based on what the object is made of. It's not any external factors. So there's not really anything you can do if it's a single object that has all these different things that can hurt each other.
So am I being too, what's the word, we were just talking about it before, oh, this is so exciting, that you would, as you're putting the sleeves on there, would I put another piece of tissue down and then lay the sleeves on top?
You
Because
can,
they're
yes.
two areas that are touching each other?
Yes. So it would depend on your materials and how fragile.
Even for that jacket?
For this jacket, I feel like
You're good.
it's okay. It's in really good condition. There's no dyes or anything that can harm the other part of the object, so it's fine to have them lay on top of each other.
In the case of when you have, for example, a metal closure like a button or a snap that's in contact with like wool and leather, something that could corrode it, would you, if possible, put tissue between
Yes.
the closure and the fabric?
So let's say something is actively corroding, like it's like the green corrosion is powdering off, then you can take like a little piece of tissue and let's say this was longer, you can just cover that so it's not getting on anything else and it's staying
But you
intact.
wouldn't necessarily like put it between like the area that it's mounted on and the object and the attachment, like the closure itself, like putting tissue underneath a button.
You can,
to separate it.
yeah, that's definitely a good thing to do that. It just takes more time.
More tissue.
Yeah,
It
if
always
you,
is
I
more
mean,
tissue.
if something is obviously, if it's active, if you see it staining the area around it, it would, and you don't necessarily have to use tissue, you can just cut little, sets of mylar, just stuff them in, and depending on the material, if the mylar is too hard for it, then tissue would be a good thing.
They do make different, milliliters of Mylar. do have to be careful because when you cut them, the edges are super,
Yes.
sharp.
Yes. So like for something like this, this is pretty robust. But if it's something really fragile that the mylar could cut, then use some tissue. Yeah, each object is going to pose its unique problem. So the thing you want to take away from is to have it enveloped in tissue, and any sorts of creasing, permanent creasing or damage that could be prevented by filling it out with other pieces of tissue, that's where you start adding things and protecting things. Yes?
So for example, this poncho over here, the red dye is lifting off really, really easily and like staining, like the cotton gloves and things like that.
Is it?
Do you, I mean, I'm sure you could put extra tissue in between, but does it migrate through the tissue? Do you have to be careful?
It shouldn't, which makes it really important for the environmental conditions in which it's stored in to be stable. But if it's a physical crocking, then it shouldn't go through the tissue. But that's why it's really important to have that interweaving between them.
So if you have to put two suits in one box, are you gonna try and put the jackets layering on the bottom and then the pants up on top, or are you gonna have a jacket on top of the jacket and pants on top of the pants?
You're gonna want to keep your objects together.
Yes.
So it would most likely be pants, jacket, shirt, all
pants-
interweaved, and then
Pants go down before the jacket?
yes, because
Okay.
they're longer. So the jacket creates
Oh, unless
like
you
let's say you
fold
put
it
the
up.
jacket in, then when you put the pants in, it's gonna like lump over the jacket.
Even if you're folding them? Because I guess if you had to fold them and then you put the jacket on top, it would push them and make a crease, right?
Yeah, well, so
I'm
it's
thinking about this way too much.
yeah. If you can put your pants flat, that's the best thing.
Right.
And you want to put it under the jacket
Yeah.
so that there's less
Yes.
there's
Less bulk.
equal plane. Yeah. But the second suit on top of it, that's why you want to even out or distribute it, so then you have your jacket, your shirt, your vest, or whatever. So your next plane that you add your next suit
gonna
on
be the
will be as
same.
flat as possible.
And that's gonna be pants, jacket, shirt.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't like change the orientation of the next suit to?
You can, so that the jacket,
Yeah.
which is the heaviest, is
So then you have
leveled
your
out.
jacket on the other side.
If you do have custom boxes where, let's say, the sidewalls are higher, you can use Ethnographic blocks to glue it with some hot glue before you put the costumes in. You put the Ethnographic blocks in the corners and then put like a blue board tray, so then you're starting over with a flat surface for the next object.
I'm just curious, wouldn't you wanna use some kind of Japanese paste instead of hot glue? Because of the chemicals?
You could also use jade. Hot glue, it tends to be okay. The only, probably the most immediate problem is it just failing in general.
Yeah.
And
There are a
it just
couple of
coming.
tested hot glues though that don't off gas,
There
and
are-
they're sort of approved.
There are conservation grade hot glues that you can use.
And jade as well. So it's, I mean, if even the conservation grade glues, if something happens to them, it's more likely they're gonna just fall off first. So, but with that, you have a new blue board panel on top of the Ethafoam, and then you have a new flat surface to put things on top of. So again, the ideal situation is just to put one object per box, but we're not, in reality, a lot of times we're gonna have to compromise and try to put multiple objects. Are there any other questions? You guys wanna get started on your boxes? Do you guys need more box room? I guess once you put these objects in, that'll free up the rest of the space, and then we can put more boxes.
Are we boxing things that haven't been documented?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Just-
that was for
Just the
purpose of
condition
you
reporting?
guys,
Okay.
yeah. And then we're just make sure that you're writing what is inside the
This
boxes.
should probably go in first, 'cause it's really heavy.
So
I do like this like folds. Should we put this in with jackets because it's thick?
Like those are a different collection. Let's see what other jackets.
I just meant others related. Let's see what's there.
For like a museum situation, if that was part of that specific costume, yes. And you would want to have those together too. Sometimes if there's like numerous objects that came with something and they're heavy or it's just, you don't want it put up in a textile box, you can have them separate. But that's why we're like accessioning is really important and having your numbers and components match up in the way originals are and get separated from each other. But for something like this, I think, and Michael kind of account for it, that I don't think like that mouth guard went with those pair of pants, right?
Probably not, and we don't even have to worry about it because we could just say something like these were gym bag accessories.
Right.
That's what this is. We don't know whose mouth guard it was. We don't know whose character it was, and it doesn't matter really. We know that they had gym bags. These were the boxers' gym bags. This was one of the boxers' mouth guards.
Yeah. Well, it's just like for like keeping like original order, like respect to font and stuff.
I hear you.
Know, like the theoretical
Of course,
stuff.
of course, of
but
course.
in
And
reality, it's
that's in some cases out the window. In this case,
okay.
but you don't, right? On a similar subject, but a little bit different. The question I have is, when we are using small amounts of tissue to buffer certain components, little components, it almost seems like it would behoove us to photograph how a box is arranged and have that photo in the box.
Or on the box.
Or on the box,
Yeah.
exactly, on the box. Because I feel like the name of the game is, it's packing and unpacking and packing. That's when I was explaining what I felt like this was all about, was like for people like me who are pretty loosey-goosey in running a room like this as I do, and really like I could never get it back to where it was without some evidence. I'd forget.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Or I mean, even if you could a time-lapse video, it's like this,
Yeah,
like to show the
exactly.
layers.
Exactly.
Who knows? In 5 years' time,
Yeah,
maybe a
no
year's
doubt
time, that
about it.
could go on
I
every
think
box.
it's- Yeah. I think the time is actually now.
Yeah, the time is now.
Yeah, so Michael brought up a good point.
Do you want me to hold it for you?
If you have a complicated box where there's some really special way that you packed it, and it's not just shorts layered on shorts layered on shorts, if there's a specific way you need it to be repacked, it's good that you take photographs of each layer. Also, when you unpack things, it's good to note where things came from, because when you start packing, there's always situations where you have too many pieces of tissue left over when you're done, or not enough. You want to be super anal now. Something is different.
Don't see that.
You want me to hold that for you, Yuki? Is it easier? Are you gonna finish packing it? Sure.
Be careful of pulling.
Do you want?
No.
That's the treatment. Scalpel or anything, yeah.
I think if you didn't want
What colors are you
Because this is an
No,
updated
this is
one,
that's
outside
conditional
probably
work
two,
done.
like the two, one,
Yeah.
and two.
Educational purpose.
I just saw
Yeah.
two.
So we just need to know.
There's one hiding.
Way under there. How many jackets are?
And, you know, this is, I think everything that we're looking at is in good condition. We don't have any fragile, super old things.
So we could move the box closer to the edge of the table, then we wouldn't have to reach over. Just rip a piece off, it wouldn't matter. Well, in order to do the painting later, it's better to have the box closer to the edge. Sorry, I worked in a textile. Yeah, but I don't know, these are like, fall apart, they're in really good condition. No offense, I just.
Should we put a roll?
I feel like that's a lot more.
Those are
moving
cool
around than
shirts, huh?
is required.
Those are.
So should we do a layer
Yeah,
of
we should put a snake in between.
I just meant a flat one because these are too long. They're gonna go on top
They
of each
can
other.
overlap.
They can overlap?
Yeah.
Overlap?
And because the tooth is gonna be against them, I don't think they're gonna slide.
And what about something over this zipper? Because it's potentially
Oh, yeah, you can do that.
would catch on the
Yeah.
sleeve. Like that. One piece? Yeah, just a flat piece.
Start extracting hangers from
That's for when he eats
These are
spaghetti.
really hard.
To protect his zipper. Yes. Thank you.
There's one right here.
See, it doesn't say
Are you
anything
counting
about
how many is there?
This one might not be on the list, 'cause it's called Whiting, or Whiting is the company, and the pack is missing, so what is that? What is that Belmont flag?
Might
So that's Belmont.
Belmont black might be this one and Belmont metallic that one.
But this one says Belmont leather.
Yeah. Uh-huh, let's see if there are any other leather ones in there. There's also Lincoln leather, there are only 2 leather ones on this list.
Then those are the other ones.
Okay, so maybe the one with the white sleeves is the Lincoln leather. This is Elena.
It was
Oh.
Look, I am predisposed to
You
be
learned how to
anal,
pack.
so you don't get any argument from me.
And by they, she means me.
Okay, we need another piece of,
a nice long piece.
because we have this piece that I ripped.
What about the one underneath?
For
Has
snakes,
that
we
been
have
cut?
one,
Oh, we've got
but
one,
we
yeah.
need another one.
Another.
Did you guys already finish those boxes?
No.
Those are
Oh.
Room for that.
Done.
Yeah, no, we've already packed like 3/4 of this collection. Oh, good.
I
As soon as it's colder. It's gonna have to be patient. No, this needs to be pulled down a little bit.
So you're not, are you gonna make an inventory of each box? Okay, right.
Yeah, just a little, right? I think you wear that in the summer.
And Legends of the Hidden.
I'm sure the ladies,
You heard they're making a Legends of the Hidden Temple movie?
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't either, I'm confused.
I mean, my childhood dream was to be on Legends of the
Well,
Hidden
yeah.
Yeah, I think they should bring back the game show, but have it only for adults, but not like fit adults. They have to be like me.
You really have
I
nine?
don't want like triathlon.
This one is the nice, because it's the unpaired one.
But that one also is.
This is unpaired.
There are two shiny ones.
Oh, yeah, okay, never mind. Wait, no.
Maybe we have 10 shirts then?
Hold on, it was
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
10.
There are two shiny black and gold shirts.
Thank you, I miscounted.
No worries. 10.
Those little, like,
shirts. That's easy enough to remedy.
You said 8 shorts?
It's all over. I already wrote the sticky note.
Ah!
So we have to throw it out. Unchangeable.
Wait, they've been selling them
One of them has to be discarded.
Throw it away.
All over. Nope. We need another one. Yes, one more. We are not allowed to put these books on the way. Because life isn't like this.
Can you label boxes?
There. I changed your sticky note.
Thank you.
It's like history's been erased.
History has been erased. Exactly. No, I doubt everything now. I doubt everything.
As it is said, history is written by the victors.
Okay, so this is my idea for one box. I'm making this little platform off the ground, and we'll put done boxes right on top of these. And we'll just stack them up.
Does it matter what they come from, Resurrection
No,
Boulevard?
well, no, Resurrection Boulevard, Castro, and then the one other, and then Ricardo Muñoz.
So we should just make a point to say that on the front
That's right, I should actually say it on the side.
side.
So that, so it's on top, you know, you can make the inventory on top, and the name of the collection on top, and then the name of the collection on the side without the inventory. And I can get you smaller post-its for that, so you're not killing all those big post-its.
It's always good to have labels on top.
Yeah, they're a little see-through. We got a nice view. Showing. I'm sort of curious about how it would feel like, what it would feel like to wear them.
I think it's great to have label makers where they actually have an image of the object.
Scratchy, strange places.
You're a small
I feel like they
post-it.
make women's bathing suits out of this material. Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like wearing Christmas tinsel. Oh no.
So, because I know that they have.
Can you?
Well, for.
Tell me there's done. No, no worries. You do it.
Right away,
To just yank a little bit down.
What's going on?
Okay. And then flatten the collar of this.
That's something we really have to work on. There's so much, collections in terms of arts collections. And it really needs
We
more
had
and more
a second
that
collar
kind of
We had a peeking blue collar.
comprehensive inventory
wardrobe
that's
album?
needed.
Yes.
In the purest form of the word.
We did some.
Yeah.
So something this light, we also want to put in thankies. And then little things in here so that they don't crease.
You can, you just need to think of how much room you have.
Yeah, because this is the top.
Right now, like, it's okay, I mean, it's already very custom creasing. And if it is a little bit folded, it's not gonna be damaged. So right now it's fine, because when you put the box on, but then if you did it too high, you don't want.
It's at the top of the box.
Yeah, and if anything puts that on top of the box, then thank you. So I think it's okay. It's only like, if creasing
Come on in,
down
darling.
to the fabric, like if the fabric is fabric, or if creasing is permanently damaged, something. Something like this though,
They should take out.
yeah. It should be okay. What about the exhibit?
Sorry. I think there's some like long like not bathrobes, but dressing gowns. That's the word I was looking for.
The pre-wrestling.